In this video, we'll model and animate a marker pen. Add a cylinder with 24 vertices. G+Z and type 1 to move it above axis lines. Tab into Edit mode. Press S and Shift+ are to restrict scaling to X and Y axes. Scale down 0.5 units. Control or Command+R and add 14 loop cuts. Numpad 1 for front view. Select 4x4 faces at the top. Press I to inset and inset 0.05 units. E+Y and extrude a bit on Y-axis. S+Y, type 0 to flatten the faces. Control or Command+R and add a loop cut. S+Y, type 0 to straighten the edge loop. Select the bottom 4 faces on extrusion. Numpad 3 for side view. E+Z and extrude down inline with the bottom edge loop. Control or Command+R and add 3 loop cuts to extrusion. Control or Command+R and add a loop cut to the bottom and slide down. Select 2 faces here. Numpad 3 for side view and E+Y to extrude close to the cylinder. Now select the outer edges of the extrusion. Control or Command+B and add a 2-segment bevel. Control or Command+R and add a loop cut and slide right. Now, select the top face and inset 0.1 units with I key. Add a grid fill and adjust the offset to align the grid with axes. Select the bottom face, press X and delete it. Alt or Option plus left click to select the bottom edge loop. E+Z and extrude -4 units down. Press F to add a face. Press I and inset 0.1 units and add a grid fill. Add 3 loop cuts with Control or Command+R. Press A to select all, then G+Z, and type 4 to move up 4 units. Alt or Option plus left click to select the bottom edge of the cap section and press V to rip. This disconnects top and bottom section from where it was ripped. Move the mouse over the top section and press L to select all linked faces. Press P and choose Selection to separate. Now, rename the separated object as cap and the other as marker. Hide the cap in the outliner. Alt or Option plus left click to select the top edge loop. Press E, right click, press S and scale down 0.8 units inward. E+Z and extrude up 0.5 units. Press E, right click, press S and scale down 0.8 units inward. E+Z and extrude up 0.6 units. Press E, right click, press S and scale down 0.8 units inward. E+Z and extrude down a bit. Press F to make face. I to inset a bit. Add a grid fill. Select the 4 faces in the middle. Control plus Numpad plus 3 times to extend selection. Press I and inset a bit. With the faces selected, go to Data Properties tab. Click on plus icon to add a vertex group and click Assign. Rename it as Tip. We'll be using Hair Particle System to create the marker tip originating from this vertex group. Now unhide the cap and hide the marker in the outliner. Select the bottom edge loop with Alt or Option plus left click. Press E, right click, press S and scale down 0.81 units inward. Alt or Option plus Z for X-ray mode. E+Z and extrude up to the top second edge. Press F to make face. I to inset and add a grid fill. Now, before adding bevels, a couple more actions have to be taken. Press A to select all. Press M and select by distance in Merge dialog to remove extra vertices. Enable face orientation and check if face normals are in order. You can find it in Overlays menu. Red indicates the face normals are facing in the wrong direction. Press A to select all and press Shift plus N to recalculate the face normals. Alt or Option plus Shift plus left-click to select both the bottom edge loops. Control or Command plus B and bevel with 2 segments. Add a bevel at the top as well. Control or Command plus 3 to add subdivision modifier. Right-click and shade smooth. Now unhide the marker and hide the cap in the outliner. Alt or Option plus Shift plus left-click to select the bottom edge loop. Control or Command plus B and bevel with 2 segments. Add bevels at the top as well. Press Ctrl or Command plus 3 to add a level 3 subdivision. Add another loop cut at the bottom with Ctrl or Command plus R and slide down a bit. Control or Command plus B and bevel with 3 segments. Now, select these 4 faces at the bottom and press Ctrl plus numpad plus 6 times to extend selection. Go to Material Properties tab and add materials for white and red color. With red material selected, click on Assign. Enable Material Preview and verify the color is assigned properly. Unhide the cap in the outliner. Select the cap. Select the red material from the drop-down. The marker exterior is complete. Let's work on adding a tip using Particle System. Hide the cap. Tab into Edit Mode and go to Data tab. Click on Select button. The selection has extended probably because of subdivision. Click on Select and then click on Remove. Press Ctrl plus numpad minus once. Click on Assign to update the tip vertex group. Tab back to Object Mode. Go to Particle tab and click on plus to add a new particle system. Click on Hair button. The hair particles are added to the whole object. We'll fix that. Set the length of hair to 1. Under Render, select Material as red. Under Children, click on Interpolated. Under Vertex Groups, click on Density and select Tip. Now the hair is propagating only from the selected vertex group. I'll adjust the hair length to 0.7 units. Let's make sure the tip isn't extending above the cap. Unhide the cap. Select Solid Preview and Alt or Option plus Z for X-ray mode. Hide the cap and switch to Particle Edit. Numpad 1 for front view. Left-click and hold and move the cursor over the hair particles to form a pointed tip. Numpad 3 for right view and do the same here. Switch back to Object Mode. Hide the marker. Add a bevel on the inside of the cap. The modeling is complete. Now, let's work on the simple animation shown at the beginning. We need origins of cap and marker to be at the same location. Select the marker. Right-click and set origin to geometry. Shift plus S and select cursor to selected. Select the cap. Right-click and set origin to 3D cursor. Now expand the dope sheet section from the bottom. Select the cap. Press N for transform panel. With the playhead at frame 1, mouse over the rotation properties and press I to add a keyframe. Move the playhead to frame 24, set rotation X to 90 and press I to add a keyframe. Now do the same for marker. At frame 1, mouse over the rotation properties and press I to add a keyframe. Move the playhead to frame 24, set rotation X to 90 and press I to add a keyframe. Move playhead to frame 36. Select the cap. Mouse over location and press I to add a keyframe. Move playhead to frame 42. Update Y-axis in location to -0.2. With the cursor over location, press I to add a keyframe. Select the keyframe at the frame 42, Shift plus D and move the duplicate keyframe to frame 48. Now move the playhead to frame 66. Update location Y-axis to -2 and add a keyframe on the location. Move the playhead to frame 78 and add a keyframe on the location. Now, duplicate the keyframe from frame 48 and move it to frame 96. Duplicate the keyframe from frame 36 and move it to frame 108. Duplicate the keyframe from frame 96 and move it to frame 102. Let's play the animation now. Duplicate the keyframe from frame 24 and move it to frame 132. Update the rotation in X-axis to 0 and press I to update the keyframe. Now, select the marker and update the rotation in X-axis to 0 and press I to update the keyframe. Select the cap. Move the playhead to frame 108. Set rotation in X-axis to 90 and press I to add a keyframe. Select the marker and set rotation in X-axis to 90 and press I to add a keyframe at frame 108. Replay the animation. The animation is working as intended. Set the frame end to 132. That's it for the modeling and animation. Thanks for watching.